Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about Smackdown for December 11th, 2020 review. I have to say this show had its ups, it had its downs. It was kind of in between. There was a lot of illogical things that occurred on the show, of course, as usual on a WWE episode. Nothing new here. But I will admit, and I might have some haters on me for saying this, but I kind of feel like Carmella has improved in her in-ring ability. Don't quite get the point of making Carmella and Sasha Banks go through a contract signing only to end up having a main event match for the Women's Championship on SmackDown. That was very illogical to me. They could have just kept building on this. Ultimately, this is still going to lead to them competing over the Women's Championship because Carmella won by disqualification because Sasha Banks lost her cool at the end of the match. I have to admit, though, Carmella performed well in this matchup. I didn't see too many botches. I didn't see her guessing or, trying to figure out what she needed to do. This match really flowed very well, in my opinion. I don't know if people are going to respond well for my opinion on that, but if you guys don't, I apologize. But clearly, from what I see, she is really improved. She's got a lot of charisma, cocky attitude. She's pretty impressive. But do I see her as becoming the next women's champion on SmackDown? Fuck no. I do not want to see that at all. If Carmella wins that fucking title, I will be pissed. She does not deserve to be the women's champion. Not right now. The woman that I believe that should be facing Sasha Banks at WrestleMania should be Bianca Belair. Real simple. It's that simple. They both have very similar attitudes. They're very cocky, very athletic. One is taller than the other. Bianca Belair being the taller one. So that matchup would be great. And not to mention, and this is not touching on racism or anything, but wouldn't it be neat if at WrestleMania for the women's division they have two females that are African Americans competing over a major championship in the women's division? I think that would be fantastic. It also kind of takes some publicity on Vince McMahon from being a racist to being more of, considerate to the other race, to a minority. I think that would be a very good move, public relations-wise, PR-wise. He would do himself a lot by doing that than sticking a blonde with a women's championship and having her face whoever they're going to face at WrestleMania. I think that would be a far better decision on Vince McMahon's part and WWE's part to do that, because a lot of people have the opinion that Vince McMahon and the WWE are racist. And I share that very same opinion. So, clearly, Vince McMahon has got a shot to take some of that publicity and that opinion from the fans and change that very quickly with a match like that. And I think that would be the right move to go when it comes to, public opinion. So I think that would be a very smart move on his part. Bayley and Bianca Belair, they had a backstage segment. Bayley is talking about, even though she's not the women's champion anymore on SmackDown, she is still the team captain of SmackDown from the women's division. She is the leader. She is number one. There ain't no one better than her. And Bianca Belair, of course, was mocking her from behind and making fun of all the comments that she was making through copying what she's saying without actually saying it out loud, and just, pretty much making laughs on her end while she's in the background. So that was a very nice segment. Bianca Belair and Bayley, I think, is a great matchup. There is mentions that there's been comments being made that they may put this on the Smackdown episode, probably the Go Home show. I hope they don't. I really would like to see Bayley and Bianca Belair showcased on the TLC pay-per-view. I mean, granted, there are some decent matches going into this that they have slightly built up, but not much. I mean, let's face it, they are not long-term planning company. They're more in the here and now planning. So, it is what it is, I guess. You take it as it is. But yeah, Roman Reigns, he did his part on this show. He was fucking fantastic. Every person that is involved with Roman Reigns looks great. Kevin Owens for the last 3 weeks has looked awesome. Yes, he is getting his ass kicked. Yes, he's looking like he's being dominated, but he looks like you can take him seriously. He looks like someone you can take him seriously. This guy, Kevin Owens, deserves to have this moment at WrestleMania, not TLC. I'm sorry. Daniel Bryan or Kevin Owens deserves to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Unless you get The Rock, and that's a totally different story. It makes sense towards the storyline with Roman Reigns and The Rock to compete over the title at WrestleMania. If they're even able to do that. But Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan are the two best characters to touch on with going after the Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. I prefer Kevin Owens because he has yet to have that WrestleMania moment. I honestly feel that is something they need to do. Yes, people are saying Daniel Bryan's the better choice. Daniel Bryan needs to lose to Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns needs to stay champion until SummerSlam. But who's to say we can't have Roman Reigns beat the shit out of Kevin Owens at TLC, win the TLC ladder match with Roman Reigns against Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens works his way back, starts kicking ass, winning match after match against random opponents they put him on Smackdown. He earns a right into the Royal Rumble. They give him this non-stop roller coaster he has to go through just to get to the Royal Rumble to earn a spot. Focal point is on Kevin Owens. That is what I would do. He is deserving. He is new. He's not new. He's been in the company since 2015. But the man has never had a legit WrestleMania moment. A real legit WrestleMania matchup that could mean something. And a rematch in a second go-around Roman Reigns at WrestleMania would not be terrible because you're continuing a story from what happened here in December and leading it into March or early April, whatever they're having this event taking place. But it would make sense, and it's all building up towards him going into the Royal Rumble, him winning the Royal Rumble. You could even fucking put him in for the first entrant into the Royal Rumble. You could even do that if you really wanted to. And I would be fine with it. I mean, seeing Kevin Owens be the third person in history winning the Royal Rumble as the first entrant, that is fucking hard to do. I mean, I don't even care if this shit's fixed. I mean, you get fucking tired doing that shit. So, them building it around Kevin Owens, I think would be great for his career. He needs something to spark his career up. A win like that at the Royal Rumble would do him a lot of fucking good. Number two, why it would be good for him to do this. Nobody would even really expect it. Let's be honest. Does anyone really think Kevin Owens, if he was placed in the Royal Rumble, would win? Placed in first? Come on, man. If you got all these other stories, if they actually do what they used to do back in the day, when you have all these stories going on, getting into the Royal Rumble match, and making them all seem important, like they have a shot in hell let me repeat that. If they have a shot in hell to win the Royal Rumble, my God, it makes it even more interesting to see it happen because no one would expect it to happen. I honestly think Kevin Owens is the right choice. I think Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns really do work well with each other. They did back in 2017. They fought each other during the Roadblock pay-per-view, which that match sucked. But their matchup at fucking Royal Rumble 2016 they fought each other. But in 2017 Royal Rumble, they had a good matchup despite the fact of the interference of Braun Strowman. That matchup was really fucking good. I think they'll probably do better now that Kevin Owens has gotten somewhat of a backbone in his character, that we might actually enjoy that match with a clean finish. And Roman Reigns losing to Kevin Owens in a clean finish after the work and build that we get with Kevin Owens going forward for the next 3 to 4 months will do that a lot of good and would make a lot of sense. He made a comeback. He figured out a way to overcome Roman Reigns. That would be something I would be intrigued to watch. Daniel Bryan's a different story. Daniel Bryan has already done something like that in his career. He overcame the Authority. He overcame 3 members of Evolution and won in one night against 3 members, beating Triple H one-on-one, and then beating Randy Orton and Batista at WrestleMania 30. He has had that moment. You can't have him beat Roman Reigns if you were to go with Daniel Bryan. I would not want that to happen. I think Daniel Bryan has already done what he needed to do. But Kevin Owens is that new... I clearly don't feel like he reached his pinnacle part in his career where you could say he's a true main event superstar. Even though he's had a Universal title run, that title run sucked. This would be a whole lot better if they had Roman Reigns lose to Kevin Owens, giving Kevin Owens that actual shot of adrenaline into his career, especially after a loss to Roman Reigns. I think that would work out well. Let me know what you guys think of that idea in the comments down below. Anyway, let me go into this because I've went about 10 minutes or so, and I only got like 40 minutes on my camera for memory to use, so I'm going to just kind of bust through this as I already mentioned. Very beginning was Carmella and Sasha Banks' contract signing for TLC, which the contract was not inside the actual binder that they had. It was with Carmella. Carmella signed it and handed it to her so-called butler or sidekick or manager, whatever the fuck this dude is. He comes down to the ring, hands it to her, and it led from one thing to the next, and eventually it led to them granting Carmella a women's championship match tonight in the main event. That was basically how that all went down. The next thing after that was Dolph Ziggler and Montez Ford. This shit with this fucking tag teams going one-on-one in singles matches, having one tag team partner face the opposing team's tag team partner, is really getting fucking stupid. I don't like it. I think it's ridiculous. But whatever. I didn't particularly care for the match. Montez Ford lost with a super kick to the face with a distraction by Bobby Roode. I did not particularly care for that. The tag team champions losing in non-title matches is fucking awful and ridiculous. We have the WWE Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn ranting to Merchandise Guy when Big E walks in, Sami isn't happy with the Big E sporting his new t-shirt when he didn't get one. Apollo Crews and Kalisto are in the background talking with Tamina Snuka. I don't know why the fuck she's even employed anymore. She sucks. Big E calls for Apollo to bring over the t-shirt they had created for Sami, and it's just a joke. Sami gets upset and storms off as Big E taunts him, and we go back to commercial. And then we come back, and Sami Zayn and Big E's match is to begin. Now, there was a bit of a glitch, which I actually was watching it off of my cell phone from YouTube TV, and I'm watching this, and I'm hearing Michael Cole's voice and Sami's voice happening at the same time. I'm like, is there something wrong with my phone or YouTube TV or some shit? Like, I'm hearing two different things going on at the same time. You got Sami Zayn in the background, Michael Cole talking at the same time. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm like, what the hell is this shit? So I was a little bit confused for a moment and just thought there was something wrong with my fucking phone or some shit, or YouTube TV. Very off-the-wall shit. This matchup between Sami Zayn and Big E was fucking awful and garbage. It made Big E look like a fucking idiot. Seriously. This guy was a big goof. He had this guy, Sami Zayn, and he was kicking his ass. And Sami Zayn, for whatever the reason, what they have done is turn Sami Zayn into a god-awful Intercontinental Champion. If you're going to be an Intercontinental Champion, be a fucking fighting champion. Be a guy that if you're going to be even in a non-title match, actually compete in a fucking match, you dumb fucking asshole. Shit, man. You got him running around the ring. You don't think Big E would actually realize he's trying to count you out and make you run around the ring long enough so that if he runs back in the ring, you won't be in the ring by the count of 10. Does Big E think of that? No. He happens to run around and follow him around the ring like a dumbass instead of just getting in the ring and saying, hey, dipshit, you ain't gonna beat me that way. You gotta get in the ring to beat me. And if he loses by countout, Sami Zayn chooses to lose by countout, by all means, that is giving Big E the opportunity to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship, because let's face facts, there's no other fucking mid-card wrestlers right now that are being shown on this show. We got nothing going on. It's like they shortchanged the entire roster. It's like they're playing with a fucking skeleton crew here. I mean, I get we're in a pandemic, but you gotta have some kind of fucking roster to work with. And if you ain't got a roster to use for the mid-card, the main event, and the tag team division, my God, you're gonna have nothing to work with, and it's gonna be fucking bullshit. You're just picking an opponent for a champion to defend the title against without showing that they're winning matches leading into that opportunity to challenge for a championship? That's fucking stupid. It's god-awful programming, and it gives no momentum to any of the characters that are on your show. It kills it. It's crap, man. I mean, they have so much talent and so much ability to make these shows so good, and yet they turn them into crap anyway. Now, please tell me, why would they want to do that outside they're trying to sabotage their own fucking show? Jesus, and I've been saying this for fucking months since they brought up the Thunderdome. Actually, I've been saying this since I heard the news that fucking Vincent Mann was okay and willing to sell the company to somebody. I was thinking maybe that's the reason why he doesn't give a shit about this fucking program anymore. But anyway, let's get into the rest of this. So, we had Kevin Owens come out. He's discussing about his matchup with Roman Reigns. He actually clearly states to the audience and to Roman Reigns, he says, look, Roman Reigns right now is the best in the business. He's winning all of his matches. He's very hard to beat. Nobody's been able to beat him in months since his return. He's been destroying everybody, and he's treating his own family member like crap. And yet, yeah, he may not have his family with him to support him in the ring. They support him at home, watching him and cheering him on. But he has a couple of friends, and he brought in a couple of chairs, a table, and a ladder, because the match is a tables, ladders, and chairs match, of course. It was kind of silly that he had to bring all those fucking objects in. He described each one of them and what they can do and how painful they are to your opponent. But he made valid points, and he was openly honest about what Roman Reigns and who he is facing at this point in time. And it's going to be very tough for him to overcome. He openly admits that. So you know clearly he's going to lose. That's definite. And it didn't matter if he did this in this promo to display that or not. You know for a fact Roman Reigns is going to retain the championship. I don't think you want to give the title to Kevin Owens unless you give him a build-up story towards a loss like what he would get with Roman Reigns. Get his ass kicked, you know. I mean, Kevin Owens puts on a fight with Roman Reigns in this first go-round, but then you build Kevin Owens up from that loss and make him better. That's what they really should do. Are they going to do that? I don't know. I hope they do, because it would be long-term planning and a great story to tell, because Kevin Owens is somebody we can relate to. He's a blue-collar worker. He hasn't been given anything to earn what he has gotten in his career. He worked in Ring of Honor as Kevin Steen, for God's sakes. The guy worked there most of his career. In the last 5 years, he's worked in WWE. For 5 years in his career, he has seen some kind of stardom, but not even that for that matter. I mean, the guy is working for one of the top companies in the United States, and yet he's getting nothing in return. This is something they could use and give back to Kevin Owens for what he has done in his time in professional wrestling. I think that would be a very nice thing for them to do. I think he deserves it, more importantly. Shit. At the end of the day, this led to Jey Uso coming out, kicking Kevin Owens' ass with a chair. Kevin Owens eventually gets back up and kicks Jey Uso's ass. And then he wants to go after Roman Reigns. Backstage, he goes after Roman Reigns. He does get attacked from behind. And Roman Reigns, dude, this guy is on another level, man. He's on fucking cloud nine, man. This guy is gone. He's not even the same hemisphere as everybody else, man. This guy is fucking off the chain, full of himself, cocky motherfucker. And he's doing it great. He's doing it to a T. He is performing at a very high level, charismatically, and in-ring wise, he's doing okay. He's not doing bad. His matches aren't terribly boring. If his matches do get boring, he has a story behind it that he uses to get people pulled in to his matches, regardless of how bad the match might be, wrestling-wise. So that's a plus on his part. If you can pull someone in despite the fact that your wrestling ability is limited, you have a chance to still shine as a main eventer. There's plenty of guys that have done that. Hulk Hogan's definitely one of them. John Cena, yes, a lot of people hate his fucking guts. I'm not one of those people that hate his guts, but John Cena did intrigue me a lot in his matches through pure intensity and will to win. And that's what I liked about him in the ring. It didn't come across like a fake bullshit story. It came across legit. He had to work very hard. Blue collar, all the way, get your ass in the ring and bust your ass. Well, that's what we get from Roman Reigns through his stories. And he applies that evil character and this mean empire-ish type gimmick into something great that people can get behind and actually enjoy watching, despite the fact he's playing a prick. So kudos to him on that. We had the Riot Squad versus Billie Kay and Natalya. Did not even care for this match. Who the fuck gives a shit? Riot Squad wins this match hands down, no problem. We had fucking Chad Gable and Otis. This is a tag team that I thought would be cool to see, but the way this match went, they showed off Chad Gable being a fucking dick, putting a blindfold on Otis. Otis looks like a fucking buffoon. Thank God they took the briefcase off him. Not that The Miz is doing any favors for the fucking briefcase. His first run as a briefcase winner was great. This one is terrible. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with him with this damn briefcase shit, but I just do not understand it. I hope that eventually they move the briefcase over to Sheamus. Maybe have Sheamus win it, and then hold on to it until WrestleMania, and cash in on Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and win the WWE Championship. Would I be cool with that? Absolutely. Would I be intrigued by the idea of maybe him, not cashing in, but actually challenging him with the briefcase with him announcing that he wants to face Drew McIntyre for the World Championship at the Royal Rumble and then losing to Drew McIntyre? Yeah, that would be cool too. I would be fine with that. So either way, I'm cool with that. I just want to see Sheamus actually compete for a WWE Championship. I think it's about time that guy gets a shot at something, despite not winning, because I don't think Drew McIntyre is going to lose the title to Sheamus, but those two going at it would be a really good matchup. And I think, based on the fact, if Sheamus was to win the briefcase from The Miz, and then announce his challenge for the WWE Championship, and Drew McIntyre, saying, hey, you haven't had anything going on, and you've been struggling to get anywhere in this company, you just won the briefcase, let's do it, man. And it's just a friendly competition. They don't have to be fucking enemies. You turn Sheamus into a face. You don't need the Sheamus to be a heel anymore. His heel run is bullshit. He needs to be a tough, badass face. He doesn't need to be a cowardly heel that needs to hide and run and do whatever it takes to win. He can clearly win by winning cleanly. So that's what I have to say on that. But getting back to Otis and Chad Gable. Otis and Chad Gable's gimmick is shit. I do not like it. Think it's garbage. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura actually beat Chad Gable and Otis in this matchup. And Chad Gable blames Otis when Otis was told by Chad Gable to tag him in. He'll finish it off. He goes ahead and he loses the match, and then after the match is over, he's blaming Otis, saying it's okay though. He's happy about it. He's actually smiling. This is later on in the show, just before the women's championship match occurred. And he's saying, oh, it's okay though. It's all part of the alpha mentality. That this was all a test. You failed, but it's okay. We're going to learn from this. Makes no fucking sense. Illogical. And completely and utterly retarded. Making both characters meaningless and looking stupid. Seems like that's WWE's forte and persistent idea of what wrestlers is supposed to look like. Like fucking idiots. Whatever, man. I really don't give a shit. We had Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, the former members of the Forgotten Sons, now with Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin now has the Wolf Bloods, or whatever the fuck he called them. I don't even fucking remember what he called those motherfuckers. But yeah, the Knights of the Lone Wolf. That's what he's calling them. The Knights of the Lone Wolf. Okay, I guess I could go with it. It's a little catchy. I mean, it's alright. Nothing too spectacular. I mean, he's a king. He's portraying a king, and he's got two guys with him. You might as well call them knights. And he's always called himself the Lone Wolf, and now the Lone Wolf is 2 Knights working for him. I don't know how he's a Lone Wolf now, but whatever. It doesn't make much sense to me after just thinking about it and repeating it out loud to you guys. But who gives a shit? If he's a Lone Wolf, he doesn't need Knights to protect him. He's a Lone Wolf. That's the point of being called the Lone Wolf. But hey, WWE, they don't believe in making logical sense, So, there you go. SmackDown Women's Championship, Carmella versus Sasha Banks. I already went over this. I'll reiterate it one more time for a conclusion to this review. Carmella was good. Carmella was decent in this matchup. She did an awesome job, I think. Again, maybe some people will shit all over me for saying that, and that's okay. People are not very high on Carmella. I don't blame you. I wasn't either until after tonight. I thought she did a decent job. She has a very nice personality in the sense of being a cocky, malicious asshole. And she was malicious in this fucking matchup at the end. She took a champagne bottle and smashed it over Sasha Banks' back, making the bottle bust over her back. Champagne everywhere on the floor. I even think there was champagne debris on Sasha Banks' back. I don't know if it was in her skin or just on her skin, and it happened to look to be in her skin. So, I don't know on that, but she showed some very vicious tendencies, which I actually liked. It makes the matchup that they're going to have at TLC seem important and make her seem like a contender for the Women's Championship. Granted, they even mentioned, though, on SmackDown that this is Carmella's very first match back, and she's challenging for the Women's Championship. Now, when you say that out loud, that sounds very, very fucking stupid. Because nobody from their first match back onto a program that they've been away from for probably about a year, 6 months to a year, not doing nothing, and then you return back to the WWE on television, your first match back on television, you're getting a women's world title match? That don't make any fucking sense, man. You gotta make some fucking wins before you get a title match. But like I said, we're watching WWE here. They don't need to make sense. They're WWE. They haven't made sense in the last 5 to 10 years, man. 5 to 10 years, they have been going down the fucking toilet like it's nobody's business. So, there you go. That's the show in a nutshell. Like I said, this had some good points, but majority of it, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it had some fucking terrible points. Tag team wrestling sucks. Needs to be fixed. The women's division, somewhat okay. Carmella, she's gotten better, like I already mentioned about 3 or 4 times. Sasha Banks looks great. Roman Reigns, great. Kevin Owens is doing fine. He looks really good working with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is making him look good. I think Roman Reigns, every person Roman Reigns has worked with so far since his return, outside of the Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt bullshit, which they completely demolished them and made them look like 2 dumb fucks during that Payback pay-per-view. He's touched every person he has worked with has made them look good. Jey Uso has looked the best he has ever looked in his career. Now with him joining up with Roman Reigns, I'd say that's a little different. Now he's more his lackey and making him his own personal beat up toy, which I don't particularly appreciate, but I can understand where they're going with it. Kevin Owens, though, has looked fantastic. He has come back. He looks like he's in a main event scene. He has a purpose. He looks like somebody you could definitely build off of to another matchup in the future to WrestleMania. If you wanted to go that route, they probably will not. I think my idea is pretty damn good. Kevin Owens deserves a run as a main eventer and actually win the Universal Championship, but not at this fucking pay-per-view. Hell no. I'm talking about building him up through the Royal Rumble, leading into WrestleMania. That's how I would do it, to give him the win back from the loss he had. And since Kevin Owens has never had that real moment in the sun in his career yet in WWE, I think this would be the perfect opportunity to do so. So I hope they go that route. If not, I hope they pick someone else that's as well as deserving as Kevin Owens. But I really do hope that Kevin Owens gets a shot at becoming the Universal Champion for a second time in his career and have a better run with it than he did the last time back in 2016, 2017. Because Goldberg finishing it off, that guy is a fucking career killer. A momentum killer. That's all Goldberg is. Goldberg needs to cease and desist in the WWE for good. Unless they're going to put him in a match with someone that he can actually have a match with and not make them look like fucking pathetic bullshit. But that's just me in a nutshell talking about this garbage. At this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, of course. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you again, guys, for watching. Hope you have a great night.